I have to make this quick because I need to go to sleep. I work graveyard stuff, but there's a lot of news around, and sometimes they hit at once, all at once. I mean, and I'm going to talk about corporate Democrats targeting Nina Turner because I have a lot to say about that. And I want to talk about the Derek Chauvin sentencing of 22 years in prison. All that needs to be discussed. But something very significant happened yesterday, as significant as these stories that I just mentioned. And I have to mention it because its freshness will go away if I do not discuss it. So here I am discussing it. Donald Rumsfeld, the former Secretary of Defense under both Gerald Ford and George W. Bush, dead at the age of 88. He lived from the year 1932 till 2021, dying yesterday. One thing that people know about Donald Rumsfeld in this modern age is that he is the face of the failed. He's one of the many failed faces of the Bush-Cheney foreign policy doctrine, one of the biggest disasters in American history. And what I mean by that is that, you associate him with Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, there are others, Paul Wolfowitz, John Bolton, Dick Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, and the man on top himself, George W. Bush, the worst president this country ever had. And one of the reasons I will say he's the worst president this country ever had is that the war on terrorism was done in a very wasteful, physically dumb way. I mean, we spent trillions. Invading other countries. We destroyed the Constitution. The Fourth Amendment is gone. We took people from hearsay by warlords in the Middle East, drug them into Guantanamo Bay, and waterboard these people with the domestic economy. Nothing necessarily to do with the war on terror. You had a situation where the deregulation of Wall Street and the casino capitalism that we had that put this country into the brink of the Great Depression, a second Great Depression. And that's one of the reasons why I think that George W. Bush will always be written off as one of the worst presidents this country has ever had. And yes, he's worse than Donald Trump. Although Donald Trump comes mighty close with the way he handled COVID. And he wasn't so hot on civil liberties domestically either, trying to invoke things like the Insurrection Act. But getting back to what I was saying about George W. Bush, Donald Rumsfeld was the public face, one of the many public faces of that regime that I call the George W. Bush presidency. A presidency that I do not recognize, even though he acted as president. All the people who want to act like Donald Trump was cheated and they don't recognize Joe Biden. And hey, Joe Biden sucks, but he is your president. George W. Bush was he was an illegitimate president. There was cheating down in Florida, and we got stuck 8 years with that monster, that team, George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. And again, Donald Rumsfeld being one of the faces that kind of governed over the failure that took place between 2001 and 2009. Well, let's go and start with his early life. He got his political start in the 1960s as a Republican congressman from Illinois. The district escapes me at the moment. Richard Nixon appointed him. When Richard Nixon became president, he appointed Donald Rumsfeld as one of his advisors. He became chief of staff under Gerald Ford. And then eventually, before Gerald Ford's presidency was over, he appointed him as Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld, and he was the youngest defense secretary this country ever had at that time. Rush forward to the year 2001. George W. Bush, as I said, illegitimately seized the presidency through questionable means. And one of the appointees that was in his administration was Donald Rumsfeld, Secretary of Defense. And when 9/11 happened, everything that could have been done the wrong way by this president, George W. Bush, so-called president, was done. If it didn't make any sense, they were for it. And they were in bed with big oil. They were in bed with the military-industrial complex. They were in bed with fundamentalist Christians that want to see war expanded in the Middle East. And you saw what became that legacy. One of the worst years this country ever had in my living memory, and I'm 52 years old. 9/11 happened, and we went into Afghanistan. And there's all kinds of debates about whether we should have been in Afghanistan or not. And at the time, I was reluctantly in favor of being in Afghanistan because, hey, the Taliban were housing Al-Qaeda, and Al-Qaeda attacked the World Trade Center. That was a given. And we had a really good international effort and cooperation to make damn sure that we get Osama bin Laden. For over a decade, even longer, we just did no longer needed to be in Afghanistan. And we, after George W. Bush, we had Barack Obama, we had Donald Trump, and now we have Joe Biden. And we're still in freaking Afghanistan. We need to get out. Now, Joe Biden said we'll be out by 9/11 this year, 2021, the 20th anniversary of 9/11. But why not just leave now? Get out of Afghanistan. Donald Rumsfeld was also associated with the invasion of Iraq. One of the most immoral wars ever fought by the U.S. There were no weapons of mass destruction. There was no connection with Saddam Hussein and Al-Qaeda. And honestly, as far as religious fundamentalists being out of control, what have you, Saddam Hussein kept the radical crazies, their right wing, talking about the fundamentalist clerics in Iraq, kind of kept them from, trying to wage radical religious revolution. And the thing about it is, again, no weapons of mass destruction. Hundreds of billions being spent to nation build. Over 1 million people, innocent Iraqis, died. We're talking about thousands of American troops died. And we're talking about an economy where we're about to go bankrupt because of this damn war. No, it isn't Social Security being out of control. It's not Medicare being out of control. It's not funding of public schools, and it's not funding of the post office that's causing all the problems we have financially. Well, the problems we have financially today is dictated by foreign policy that's being utilized right now halfway across the globe. And Donald Rumsfeld, as I said, is the public face of that, or one of the many public faces. And I like to see nothing better than to see George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, John Bolton. I mean, everybody that was involved, Paul Wolfowitz, Condoleezza Rice, and when he was alive, the late Donald Rumsfeld, along with people like John Bolton. All these people put behind bars for the crimes against humanity that was waged with their policies and their mismanagement and making the world considerably less safe. And I'm not being a partisan hack, okay? Remember, Joe Biden voted for the war as a senator in 2002. Hillary Clinton voted for the invasion of Iraq also in 2002. So, there, and John Kerry did, and so did John Edwards. All of them, Joe Lieberman, all of them. They all need to be rounded up, just like George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and all the goons in his administration that handle foreign policy. Rounded up and put in prison for crimes against humanity. I make no apologies for it. Now, on a human-to-human level, am I sorry that the man is dead? Sure. I don't want anybody dying, not even the most evil amongst us. But at the same time, don't expect me to shed a tear over Donald Rumsfeld. I will not do that. I may not rejoice over his death, but I will not. I will never, ever, ever shed a tear either. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to go and utilize and create your own platform and utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and so you'll be able to get hard-hitting social democratic commentary by yours truly, American Social Democracy. And until next time, peace. Class struggle yesterday, class struggle today, class struggle tomorrow, and class struggle until we achieve full economic and social justice in our time.